All right, so what we're going to go through now briefly is the flow chart that AV has developed on how to flow through a conversation. We kind of already talked about all these points, so we're going to go through them kind of quickly. The core principles behind AV and outreach and what we do are on the screen here. There are 3 principles. We've already talked about them. Number 1 is holding non-vegans accountable. I think we got the message through, right? That's the number 1 thing. Number 2 is putting non-vegans in the victim's position. Sometimes we might want to compare the injustice, or we might want to use, for example, dogs as a comparison. You know, if you wouldn't do this to your dog, why would you do this to a cow? And the reason that we kind of discourage that is because, for a couple of reasons. Number 1, people have a connection with their dog. They connect with them at a different level than with a cow they've never met. So it's hard for them to kind of like, well, my dog is my family and I love my dog, so of course I would never do that with my dog. So it's not the best comparison. Also, some people don't care about dogs. So why would we use a dog comparison if they don't care about dogs? The best comparison, if you want to make a comparison, is putting the person that you're speaking to in the position of the animal. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll be like, my friend, do me a favor, close your eyes. Imagine yourself on the kill line, going up the ramp. You were just taken off of a truck that you were transported for 24 or 48 hours without food or water. You're thirsty, you're hungry, you're scared. Hey, close your eyes, do me a favor, close your eyes. You just got off the truck, you're on a ramp, you don't know what's happening, you hear a lot of noise, you hear a lot of screaming in the distance, like other animals screaming. You smell the blood, and you're scared. Like, put them in the position. That'll really kind of like, that's the best comparison. That'll really get them to understand what the animals are going through by you putting them in that position. Because everybody knows that animals are aware. They are self-aware. They have subjective experiences. They have the ability to express love. They have the ability to express fear. They are scared. When they're looking at these screens, some of these videos is the animal is in a cage about to be, a bolt gun. The guy's trying to get it right on his head, and the animal's like moving. Like the animal knows something not good is happening, and the animal is trying to like climb over the gate. They're trying to escape. They know something not good is coming. So if you put them in that position, that's the best chance that you have, instead of like comparing them to other animals. So that's number 2. Number 3 is this is not food for thought. So we're not planting seeds. We're not out there to give people something to think about. This is not why we're there. This is a call to action. Now that you get it, will you go vegan? Remember, you got 2 options, hypocrite or vegan. What do you choose? And I'm not here for you to think about it. Every second, listen to me, every second that you are not living vegan, that means that you are not living in alignment with your own values. You have to go to sleep at night knowing that. Yes?
I've heard you combine 2 and 3 very well by saying, if you were that animal on the kill line, would you want someone to think about
Exactly.
the situation?
Yeah, if you were in this situation, would you want somebody to think about it? Or would you want somebody to take immediate action? How urgent is this for you? How urgent is this if you were in their position? How would you answer that? If you were in their position, would you want somebody to think about it, or would you want them to take immediate action?
No.
Immediate action, right?
I recently used that, by the way.
Okay.
So happy.
Yeah, there you go.
Practice.
It helps. This is what works. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to say. It works. In our society today, ample information exists on the subjugation of animals, and it is widely recognized that non-vegans exploit other animals to death. However, What is lacking is accountability. Again, the only thing that we bring to the table is accountability. Everything else is available online for them. But online is not going to hold them accountable. That's what we're there for, right? Our task is to confront people with the contradiction between claiming that other animals deserve our respect and acting in ways that undermine that ethical principle. Okay? Victim's perspective. So this is principle number 2. We place ourselves in the victim's position in order to acutely grasp the realities of any injustice. Right? That's empathy. Like if we put ourselves in their position, we can really easily understand the injustice. Right? Because then we're like, oh shit, this is happening to me. Now I get it. Okay? This not only fosters empathy, but also highlights the urgency of taking action against it. It's fundamentally critical to do this in the case of the animal holocaust. People most effectively comprehend the consequences of their non-vegan life when they imagine themselves in the victim situation. Principle number 3, a call to action. It is not enough for people to simply agree with the principle of veganism. So you'll oftentimes, when you're talking to somebody, they'll look at you and they'll be like agreeing. We don't care about you agreeing. We care about your actions. Okay, you can agree all day with me, but if you turn around and you continue living non-vegan, like, what good did it do that you agreed with me? Like, it didn't do any good. Only through decisive action will they understand that merely thinking about veganism or trying it is insufficient. Okay, let's talk about the word trying. Can you try to be vegan? You can't try to be. Veganism is rejecting the exploitation of animals. Can you try to reject the You can try to not exploit animals, but you cannot try to reject the idea that animals are here to be exploited. There's no trying there. You either get it, and this is what I tell people when I talk to them. My friend, when they tell me, I'll try, my friend, I don't think you got it. Because veganism isn't something that you can try. Veganism is either you get it or you don't. It sounds like you didn't get it. So how can I, help you understand better, what veganism means? Because you can't try veganism. You either get it or you don't. If you think you're going to go vegan one day, like, oh yeah, January 1st is around the corner, maybe I'll go vegan on January 1st. If you think you're going to go vegan on January 1st, you don't understand what it means to be vegan. And it's not your fault. I failed you. I did not communicate effectively what it means to be vegan. You cannot go vegan tomorrow or in January 1st or a year from now. You can't push it off. Because if you think you can push it off, you didn't get it. You didn't get it.
So it's an immediate call to action?
It's an immediate call to action. Immediate. You have two choices. Hypocrite or vegan, what do you choose? That's an immediate call to action. What do you choose? Those are your only two choices. You don't answer to me, but you answer to yourself and you answer to the victims. I'm nobody. I'm just here with a message, and I'm here to help you understand that you're not aligned. What you do with that is up to you. It will define who you are to yourself. You have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. Who do you want to be? I'm sorry?
Can I think about it?
From the perspective of the animal, if you were in their position, would you want somebody to think about it, or would you want somebody to take immediate action? Now, that being said, I understand that a life of conditioning might take a little time to process. But I think that you are intelligent and you are understanding what I'm saying. You cannot push this off. You can't push this off. You encountered us today, and today is your chance to do the right thing. Starting now. And I'm going to tell you something. You may be afraid to go vegan, to make such a drastic change in your mind. It's a drastic change. But let me tell you something. The commitment to live vegan is not drastic. It's simple. How to live vegan might be a little drastic at first because you don't know. and I'll usually tell my story. I went to Taco Bell for 2 weeks straight because I had no idea how to live vegan. But I promise you, you'll figure it out. But that's not what's important. What's important is the commitment. What's important is that you get it. What's important is that you understand. That's what matters. That's what's important. And once you make the commitment, I promise you, you will figure it out. And what's stopping you from this moment forward from doing the right thing? Why do you want to think about it? What's there to think about? This is how you talk to people, and this is my best way of holding somebody accountable to their values. I'm only talking to you in such boldness and so direct because I'm trying to help you. Because by me helping you, I'm helping the animals, and that's my goal. Because you might become a voice for the animals. You might have a profound impact in this movement. I don't know. You might not. But first, you need to go vegan. And then once you go vegan, you're not helping any animals by going vegan. You're not saving any animals by going vegan because they weren't yours to be saved. You have no right to take their life from them. So it's kind of like saying, how many humans am I saving by not murdering them every year? I shouldn't be murdering humans, so I'm not saving. Even if I was a mass murderer and I was killing 20 humans a year, and then one day I decided I'm no longer going to murder humans. Well, now I'm saving 20 humans a year by not murdering them because I used to murder 20 humans a year, but now I'm not. So now I'm saving 20 by not murdering them. That's ridiculous. Same with animals. You're not saving any animals by living vegan. You're just you're doing what's right, period. You don't get a pat on the back for doing what's right. I don't get a pat on the back. When I tell people, oh, I've been vegan 10 years, they're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. It's like, I don't want praise. I'm not doing anything good. I'm just doing what's right. It's just like I woke up this morning, I didn't kill anybody. Should you give me praise for not killing another human being? Oh, you didn't kill anybody today? Good job. That's ridiculous. I don't want praise. I don't deserve praise for doing the right thing. Now, when we become a voice for the animals, when we use our voice, when we use our platform to create change in the world, now you can get a pat on the back. Even though we don't do it to get a pat on the back, we do it because it's necessary, because if we don't, who will? Everything I do is not to get praise or to feel like, oh, look at how great I am. No, I'm doing it because I have to. And maybe you'll feel that way, and maybe you'll become a voice for the animals.
You also gave a great answer in the podcast to the question, are you proud of being vegan?
Oh, yes.
Same thing. You're not proud.
Yeah, so I was asked in a podcast, am I proud of being vegan? And my response was, what is there to be proud of? That I was fortunate enough to make the connection? That I was fortunate that my brother went vegan first and he talked to me? I feel fortunate and lucky that veganism was introduced to me, because maybe I wouldn't be vegan otherwise. But I'm not proud. I chose to do the right thing because that's what we should be doing. It doesn't make me a better person. It doesn't make me, it's just, that's what we should do. We should do the right thing because it's the right, and this is what I tell people. You should do the right thing. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. Okay, so we're going to go through this quickly. So there's 9 steps. Now, you don't have to memorize the 9 steps. I think you kind of got the gist based on everything that I said. But the way that it flows is that you want to qualify and explain. Begin by assessing their mindset about animal exploitation. Determine if they are open to honest reflection or if they're defensive about the ethical inconsistencies and views of their choices. So you have to determine, you have to gauge the person. Is this person reachable? Is this person not reachable? But don't make that judgment so soon, because I've had conversations where they started off really bad and they ended up being reachable and did a 180, and it's amazing conversation. So you got to give people a little bit of room to get defensive. That's natural. But at some point in the conversation, you got to say to yourself, okay, this person I'm starting to see is not reachable. I need to end the conversation. Okay, establish position. Set a foundation of mutual understanding and gain a clear stance on their views around respecting animals. That way, you can repeatedly bring the conversation back to their own stated beliefs, pointing out conflicts between their words and actions. Basically what I've been talking about all day. Your words, your actions, not aligned. Words don't matter, actions do. Contradiction acknowledgement. Expose the hypocrisy in claiming to respect animals while being responsible for their exploitation. The strength of this principle lies in making the contradiction unmistakably clear, forcing them to confront the gap between their views and their actions. So this goes back to the Socratic Method, which means asking questions so that they can arrive at the answers on their own. Instead of me calling you a hypocrite, I find a way to get you to call yourself a hypocrite, because when you walk away from this conversation, the impact between me calling you a hypocrite and you recognizing your own hypocrisy is night and day. It's night and day. If I call you a hypocrite, you're going to be like, fuck these, excuse my language, screw these animal rights extremists. They're these militant, screw them. And then they'll go back to their comfortable life because everybody else is not vegan. And then they'll just view us as like these extremists because it makes them feel better by insulting us, by putting us in this little box of extremists. It makes them feel better. But if I get them to call themselves a hypocrite, they can't do that to me anymore. Because I didn't call them a hypocrite, they call themselves a hypocrite. So that's very, very important. You know, expose their hypocrisy, but get them to do it on their own.
Can you do an example?
Yeah. So the example that I normally do is, these are your values. You claim, you told me that you are against what you're seeing on these screens. You told me you're against cruelty to animals. This is what you told me. When you're not vegan, your actions are opposite of your values. You are creating a demand for animal cruelty. You are funding animal cruelty. You are supporting these industries by funding them. And because you're funding them, it continues to happen because of you. Like if you go vegan right now, I'll still come back out next week because this isn't going to end because you went vegan. But it's no longer happening because of you. You are no longer responsible for this. Okay? So when you say that you're against it, but you turn around and then you pay for it, you fund it, you create a demand for it, when your values, your words are here and your actions are here and they are complete opposite of each other. Complete opposite. I say this, but I do the opposite. When you say something and do the exact opposite, what does that make you? Everybody answers a hypocrite. Never has nobody not answered a hypocrite. Every conversation that I have, everybody calls themselves a hypocrite. It's very, very powerful. Okay? Set a foundation. Define veganism as an ethical principle. So at some point in the conversation, you want to make sure they understand what veganism means. If they think it's a diet, your conversation is going to go nowhere. Why is this person trying to change my diet? Educate them on the true meaning to prevent and dismantle misconceptions. That's very key. If you're trying to make an argument and they don't even understand what it means, then you're on two different wavelengths. Address objections. Encourage them to share any barriers they may feel about going vegan, allowing space for them to voice insecurities or misconceptions. Then focus on challenging the viability of the excuse itself, keeping the conversation on track and removing any attempt to deflect from accountability. So I always like to call non-vegans masters of deflection. They don't even know how good they are. It's like they went to a 4-year degree program on how to deflect. This is how good humans are at deflecting. They're so good at it. Because they don't even know that what they're trying to do is they're trying to manipulate you. They're trying to deflect so that you can get off course and not hold them accountable. They are trying to avoid accountability. If you can recognize that, you don't allow it. Because who's in control of the conversation? You or them? You. You are in control of the conversation. They can try to divert, they can try to deflect, but if you're aware of that, you can bring it back. Okay? So that's very important. I often tell people, listen, my friend, that is irrelevant. I'm not even going to answer that because it has nothing to do with why I'm here. You are, unfortunately, you're trying to deflect, and you're not the only one. Everybody tries to deflect. Everybody tries to steer the conversation because they're trying to, and I literally tell this to people, because they're trying to avoid accountability. You're trying to avoid accountability. I'm only here to help you recognize that your values and your actions are not aligned. All these excuses and arguments that you're making that are irrelevant, you asking me what my position is on abortion, irrelevant. I'm not even going to answer it because it has nothing to do with why I'm here. If abortion is that important to you, set up a cube of abortion, and when I walk by there, then we'll talk. Okay, but that's not why I'm here, and I'm not going to answer it because it's going to derail the conversation. Oh, you don't want to answer. I know what your answer is. You don't want to. See, they're not reachable. Okay, you know what? You're not reachable. I'm sorry. I'm not here to talk to people who aren't reachable. Okay, so I'm going to move on. You know, if you'd like more information, here's a card. If not, that's okay. But this conversation is over. I've said this to people before.
What's on the card?
So the card is a QR code that takes you to a page, a landing page with 4 videos. Okay. Determine character. Reveal their hypocrisy and evaluate their willingness to align their actions with their ethical values. This step shows whether they have the integrity to accept responsibility and make a change, or if they are simply seeking rationalizations to continue exploiting animals. So they're either going to basically have that introspection, and they're going to basically let you know that maybe I'm having that aha moment right now. You know? Or they're going to continue with their BS. Well, are you going to tell lions? Are you going to go out and try to convince a lion to be vegan? Okay, victim's position and urgency. Help them empathize and understand the severity and urgency of this issue by imagining the situation from the victim's perspective. Almost any argument objection can be dealt with sufficiently by asking if the given argument objection would be acceptable if they were the victim. So this is what I said at the beginning of the presentation. There is one response you can give to any objection. You don't even have to go into details, or you can always give this response. From the perspective of the animal, would you accept this argument you just gave me? If you were in their position, would you accept that as an argument? No, you wouldn't, because it's your life on the line. Okay, offer solution. Show them that veganism is the only way to align their actions with their ethical values, right? It's the only way. Remember when I give them 2 options. You're either hypocrite or vegan. Choose one. What do you choose? Veganism allows them to live authentically in a way that reflects the respect they claim to have for other animals. Okay? Call to action. So this is the last one. Urge them to make a definitive commitment. So this is something that I used to not do, and in some of the videos, they're short. I'm going to show a video or 2. I wasn't doing this because I was afraid of the answer. I was afraid of the answer. I would never, ever say, what do you choose? Like, tell me, I want to hear you say that you are not going to live vegan or that you are going to live vegan. What I want to hear, what do you choose? So, urge them to make a definitive commitment to stop viewing animals as means to human ends. Challenge them to embrace veganism and ask them to defend animals by also speaking out against their injustice starting now. Okay, focus on what you can control. What you say. Stick to the principles that we talked about. Avoid distractions. They're going to try to deflect. Masters of deflection. They're going to try to derail you. If you fall trap to that derailment, it's a waste of time and energy. You might as well not be there. You might as well not be there. Avoid deflections and distractions. Control the conversation. You are in charge. If they try to derail you, excuse me, my friend, that's not why I'm here. I'm here with a purpose. Let me tell you what that is. You're in control of the conversation. Okay, focus on what you can control. How you say it. Assertiveness. People will call you aggressive. We're not aggressive, but we are assertive. There's a big difference. But they like to use aggressive because it makes them feel better. Oh, you're not doing it right. If you really wanted to, you're too aggressive. They will accuse you of aggression. You know why? So that you can feel attacked and start to defend yourself. Now, when you're defending yourself, you're not doing what? You're not holding them accountable.
And then they have control of the conversation.
And then they have control of the conversation, and now they pushed an emotional button. Now you have to defend yourself.
So what do you say when they say you're so aggressive?
I say, ma'am, your opinion of how I speak for the voiceless, for the animals, is irrelevant. You can have that opinion. It doesn't matter. That's not why I'm not here to discuss whether I'm being aggressive or not. I'm here to discuss how your actions are not aligned with your values. That's it. You can think I'm aggressive, and that's fine. I have an idea. Go vegan, align your actions with your values, become a voice for the animals, and then we can have a discussion about, you know, tactics and better methods and approaches on how to be the most effective for the animals. I don't take advice on how to speak for animals from people who abuse and hurt animals. That doesn't make any sense. Okay? Honesty and represent the victims, okay? Focus on what you can control. Who you say it to, focus on the reachable people. If you focus on people that can't be reached, again, waste of time, waste of energy. You have to gauge that. You have to determine how reachable somebody is, but you got to give them a little bit of time, a little bit of benefit of the doubt. Sometimes you can really quickly figure it out. If somebody's a troll, don't entertain them. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Just end the conversation or ignore them. So sometimes what I do is, because when they're trolls, sometimes they're loud. So sometimes I'll respond back because others are hearing. Okay? So somebody will be like, "Oh, I love chicken wings." Why are they saying that to us? We're obviously fighting for animals. Why would they say that to us?
Get a reaction.
To get an emotional response. If you give them the emotional response, they got what they wanted. Why would we give them what they're looking for? Who wins in that situation? They won. They won. If you give them the emotional reaction that they're looking for, they won. They got you. They played you. And you fell trapped to that. You have to be the bigger person. You have to remember that what you're doing is not a joke. You are here with a mission and a purpose, and you can't let others derail you. You can't let your emotions get in the way. So when people say, "Oh, I love chicken wings," I say, "My friend, those words don't hurt me. I know you're trying to hurt me, but they don't hurt me. You know why? Because I'm not the victim. I'm just a voice for the victims of your abuse." So when you speak like that to them, they're like, "Oh shit, this guy didn't get affected by what I just said." I will say that to them. Your words don't hurt me because I'm not the victim. I'm just a voice for the victims of your abuse. And I say that loud so that everybody can hear. Because if they say, "I love chicken wings," "Oh, fuck you," yeah, or if I react in some kind of an emotional way, first of all, we don't look professional. We don't look like, nobody's going to take us serious. But when I answer in a manner like that, people will take us serious. Because I'm not there to mess around. So focus on what you can control. How long you say it. Disengage with trolls quickly. Don't waste your time. This isn't complicated. Okay, reminders. When we're doing these cubes, this is not a social gathering. So try to avoid, talking to other activists about social stuff. Focus on the mission. If somebody stops to watch the footage on the screen, approach them quickly. Don't give them a chance to walk away. Only validate non-vegans with handshakes if they declare to be vegan from now. So sometimes they'll reach out and want to shake your hand. If they have not declared that they're going vegan, say respectfully, "I cannot shake your hand." And because why would I shake the hand of an oppressor, of somebody that is knowingly exploiting others when they know they don't have to? That I can't shake your hand. If you commit to living vegan, I'm happy to do so. But you have to understand that I cannot shake the hand of somebody who's oppressing another knowingly. Yes?
So, how can you do that with family or friends?
Do what?
Not wanting to shake their hand because they willingly
No, in the context of an outreach conversation, yeah. I mean, if you go to your friend's house and they want to shake your hand, you can shake their hand. I'm saying in the context of an outreach conversation, they might want to shake your hand because they want to feel better. They want to feel like you validate them. if you're having an outreach conversation with a friend and immediately after the conversation they want to shake your hand, I want to shake their hand. But in other contexts, if I just show up to their house and I'm like saying hello and shaking people's hands, even if they're not vegans, remember, non-vegans are not evil people. They just are not aware. They need that awareness. Until they are, and then you can judge them all you want. I don't judge people because I remember when I wasn't vegan for 42 years. So like I try to hold judgment because I prefer to give them the benefit of the doubt that they are capable of change, given the opportunity. Once I've given them the opportunity, they get it, they understand, they're not stupid, they understand what I'm saying. Like, how can you not understand what I'm saying? Like, you get it. Now, you're choosing knowingly, you don't have the excuse anymore that you had before. Now, knowingly, you're choosing to continue to do this, then, you're telling me who you are. You're telling me your character. You're telling me the type of person that you are. And of course, I'm going to hold judgment. Why wouldn't I? You hold judgment. Everybody judges. If you knew that somebody was harming a child, you would judge them. Absolutely. The only difference here is that somebody harming a child isn't unaware that they're harming them. They know they're harming them. In the context of veganism, people were socially conditioned, and so they are not knowingly aware of the harm that they're causing to animals, consciously. But once you bring that to the forefront of their brain and you help them and recognize that, and they get it and they continue, which I have plenty of friends and family. My immediate family is all vegan, but there's plenty of distant family who I've outreached. They get it, they understand, they know, and they continue to not live vegan. Well, they told me who they are. I don't want to associate with people like that. Now, sometimes the brain needs a little bit of time to process. Like when my brother outreached me for the first time, I didn't go vegan on the spot. I said to him, and I tell this to people, because, anecdotal, stories helps, to build that rapport and to let them know that you were once there too. When my brother outreached me, I said to him, I said, brother, I respect what you're doing. I really do, but I can never go vegan. And this is a true story, and I really believed I could never go vegan because I was like, I'm not going to go vegan. I love meat. Fuck that. I hate salad. I'm not going vegan, that's for sure. He planted that seed. Now, again, sometimes our brain needs to process the information. So when he spoke to me, I went back home, and guess what? I couldn't sleep at night for days because it was eating me up alive. It was eating me up alive. Because he held me accountable. So then I started to do a little bit of research, and I went down the rabbit hole, and just before you knew it, I was vegan. And right after I went vegan, I said, I gotta let others know, and that's how it happened. So.
What do you do with the I could never go vegan?
Okay, so when somebody says that to me, I immediately tell them my story. Bye. And it's happened before.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you guys are doing great work. Like, I don't really want that pat on the back. That's not why we're here. Hey, you're doing great work, but you know what? Like, I could never go vegan. It's like, not for me. So I'll say to them, listen, it's funny that you say that because those were my exact words when my brother went vegan. And one day at the dinner table, I asked him, I'm like, why are you always eating different than us? And he started to tell me, he's like, oh, I'm vegan. And I'm like, you're what? What is that? I didn't even know what it meant. And he told me that he went vegan. And I'm like, okay. And he told me why he went vegan. And then I said, oh, okay. I respect what you're doing, but I could never go vegan. So you telling me that tells me that there's a chance that you can go vegan because I'm an example of somebody that said I could never go vegan. I believed within myself that I would never go vegan. And within a couple weeks, I went vegan. And not only did I go vegan, now I'm out here on the street talking to complete strangers about veganism. So even though you say that to me right now, that's okay because you might be here next month. You might be here talking to others about veganism because you might believe you can never go vegan, but I'm telling you, once you understand what it means to be vegan and once you recognize that your actions are not aligned with your values, you're going to realize you have a choice to continue to live as a hypocrite, assuming we had that conversation, or a choice to go vegan. Those are your only two choices. And I promise you, you're going to choose to go vegan because it's going to eat you up alive. How do I know that? Because it ate me up alive. That's what I say.
It's a welfarist message to
No, so, okay. Yeah, so this is something that I like to talk about. So there are activists in the movement that are vehemently against using certain language, and that is their choice. I disagree with them, and we're entitled to disagree. They don't like to use, and if I'm understanding you correctly, you're talking about like using words like abuse or cruelty or suffering. They focus on exploitation, okay? Because of the definition. They are strict to the definition. So, but as you can see in my outreach, I'm using abuse, suffering, pain, but I'm also using exploitation, okay? Way back in the day, I was not using exploitation at all. I am using exploitation now, but I am not using words like abuse and suffering.
Well, and that's descriptive of the videos that you're showing too, so. talk
Very
about
much
the-
so,
yeah, I
very
mean,
much so. But not only that, exploitation is a form of abuse.
Yeah, absolutely.
So using the word abuse is not wrong. Because when you exploit somebody, it means that you are unfairly using them for your benefit. That's abusive.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily have to mean physical abuse. Just the fact that you are exploiting them is abusive by definition. So I am totally okay, and I encourage people to use the words like abuse and suffering and pain.
Yes.
I think the contention comes out of like the people.
Yeah, but see, that's just deflection, because I'm going to tell you, this is how I respond to these activists who I've argued with night and day. If a non-vegan were to come at me with that, oh, but I treat them well and this and that and the other, I always, because it does happen. It does happen. Oh, like I have chickens and I treat them well.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. First of all, are you vegan with the quote-unquote exception of the chickens that you're treating well? It's never the case that they don't exploit any other animals and they just are using the eggs from the chickens that they have in their backyard. It's never the case. So if they were to come at me with that, I would hold them accountable. Even if you treat them well, you are exploiting them. You are using their bodies for your benefit.
Still exploitation.
Yeah, still exploitation. Oh, but I treat my chickens well. Like, what's the harm in taking their eggs? Okay, do you really want me to explain? Like, if I explain it to you and you understand, will you stop doing it? Because they may not know. They don't know. But like me answering their question is almost a little bit like wasting time, because they don't actually care, because they are eating all the other animals, wearing all the other animals, using all the other animals. So it's not about the chickens. They're just using that as a way out. Like, I focus on the exploitation there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that other animals are suffering. That's a fact.
Right.
Why should I keep facts away from? It's the truth.
It's because what's important about veganism isn't how much they're suffering, but the very fact that, we're exploiting them, right? It's because like they could be suffering a lot, or they could be suffering a little. We might not know how much they're suffering, but by very virtue of like using them for our own means is what makes it wrong, right?
Correct.
It's not wrong, like,
Correct.
how much-
But, and I can agree with that, but do I want to be effective or do I want to be right? I am very good at helping people make the connection to the point where they go vegan. It's working. It's working. Now, I can be right, but I'm not going to be as effective, because people do not connect with the word exploitation. When I tell people, and I'm being honest, this is my response. When I tell people, and I use this all the time in outreach, excuse me, sir, let me put a scenario out there. If I were to ask 100 people randomly on the street, listen, I'm doing a survey, are you for or against animal cruelty? What do you think they're going to say? Against, right? Okay, so if I'm not supposed to use the word cruelty, this is how I'm supposed to phrase the question. Let me put a scenario to you. Imagine that I'm going to do a survey and I'm going to randomly survey 100 people. Excuse me, sir, are you for or against animal exploitation? That doesn't have the same...
It doesn't, because
It
you
doesn't,
get
because
that
people
say-
are confused about what exploitation
Totally.
means.
Would you
Totally.
like agree
Like-
that would be like termed like welfarist language, or do you like reject that label as like for that type of language?
It's not welfarist in my opinion. It's not welfarist because I am working to try to get somebody to make the connection to go vegan.
What do you mean by welfarist?
Meaning that I am, so welfarism versus like abolitionism, like you are trying to create a better world for animals in their current state. Like for example, larger cages.
Okay.
Like I don't go out there and advocate for larger cages. Larger cages are better than smaller cages, that's true. But it's not the right message. Animals should not be exploited. They deserve to be free, not exploited or oppressed by humans in any capacity.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter how big the cage is. It's wrong.
Yeah.
That's the message. That's the message. Now, some people fight for larger cages. I choose not to spend my time and energy doing that because I don't think it's the right message. We're not going to have a vegan world overnight. In the meantime, if they can have bigger cages, listen, it's better than not, but it's not the right message. I think it's more important to bring the message to the world that animals are on this planet with us and not for us. Period. End of story. And if we can get that message across firmly and boldly, we can achieve animal liberation faster, in my opinion. If some people want to be welfarists, that's like a negative term in animal rights. Like, oh, you're a welfarist. Oh, and I used to think like that too. Oh, you're a welfarist, you know. A lot of welfarists are not even vegan. That's the problem.
Wow.
My messaging is very abolitionist, but it's also very effective. If I encounter somebody that these one-offs that these activists claim could happen, which never happens, and if it does, I will do what I said I do, then I'll address it and I'll focus on exploitation. Because if they try to spin it and be like, well, they're not suffering, and you know, then I talk about exploitation, and I focus more on exploitation. But to the general public, words have an emotional response to them, and like people can connect more with abuse and suffering than they can with exploitation. So I am 100% my message to our community here and to the community at large is please use the words abuse and suffering and pain. In addition to exploitation, do not use exploitation. Exploitation is the definition of veganism, and we should always use the word exploitation in our outreach. But it doesn't mean that we should not use other descriptive words of what is actually happening.
Right.
And just because some animals may not be suffering doesn't mean that we can't use the word suffering. Or abuse. And again, exploitation is a form of abuse by definition. So these chickens, these hens that are not suffering, by the mere fact that you're exploiting them, you are abusing them. They are being abused. Because that's the definition of exploitation. It's a form of abuse. Their argument is that by us using welfarist language, because if we're saying suffering, you know, or abuse, we're not aligned with the clear definition that says exploitation. But my point is that I do focus on exploitation also. It's part of the message. It is primarily the message, but I'm not going to hold back and not use words that are descriptive and that can have an impact on the person that I'm talking to. Because if I wanted to be right, like these activists that want to be right, you're right. The definition doesn't say abuse or suffering; it says exploitation. You are right, but you put them and put me, and let's see who's more effective in communicating the message. What they're going to say, what these people are going to say is that I am confusing people about the meaning of veganism by using words like abuse and suffering. Do you think that in this presentation that I've done that I'm confusing people, or do you think that people understand what veganism means when I speak to them?
Before you've been talking about exploitation.
Yeah, I talk a lot about exploitation, but yeah. And again, in some of the older videos, and even in this video, which is a couple years old, I use the word exploitation. But I also use the word suffering, and it is what's happening on the screens. So when these people say that we shouldn't be doing this because it's welfarist and all this kind of crap, then why don't they show backyard chickens on the screens when they do outreach? Why don't they show that? If it's exploitation, why don't they show that? Because it's not going to have the fucking impact than showing an animal's throat being slashed. and an animal being scared and trying to escape a slaughter truck. It's not going to have the same impact. So we show these videos because of the shock impact and because it's true. This is what is happening. You know, and it's like I'm tired of these activists, you know, wanting to be right. Like, I would rather be effective than right. And I'm not wrong either. It's not like I'm saying something wrong. I believe in what I'm saying. I think that we are trying to create a paradigm shift in humanity by helping people make the connection. By saying larger cages are better than smaller cages, you are still saying that it's okay to do. It's okay to do.
Also,
And
it's not a decision people on the street can make. They don't decide.
right.
if cages
And
should be-
exactly, when
they
we're doing
decide
outreach,
what kind of lifestyle.
we're holding them accountable to their actions. We're not trying to create legislative change.
Exactly.
Like if there was a campaign and there was a good chance that we can get laws changed for bigger cages, I'll sign up for that.
Yeah.
I'll sign up for that in the meantime, because we're not going to go vegan overnight. So I will sign up for that,
Yeah.
for legislative change, because that has a different goal and a different purpose. But when we're doing outreach, we are trying to get the person to be held accountable to their values.
Exactly.
So I hope that answers the question. Yeah. Okay. So he almost got it. Like, what is the biggest benefit? Not killing animals, right? Most people usually answer health, right? Why did he get it? Because he's getting it. Why did he answer correctly? Because you can see he's getting it, right? He's understanding. He's a reachable person. So this is why I spent 14 minutes with him. Okay? Benefits to you personally. What is the biggest benefit to you personally if you go vegan? See, so he's thinking about something other than himself.
Right.
Finally, okay. He's trying. He's almost there. Okay. Yes. What I was getting at specifically is, once you go vegan, the biggest benefit to you personally is that you get to go to sleep at night knowing that you are no longer contributing. You are no longer the reason that others are suffering. And you get to go to sleep at night no longer as a hypocrite, which you said yourself. I didn't call you a hypocrite. You get it. You get it because, okay. So, I guess to end the conversation is very simply, when you walk away, you now are aware of how your actions cause immense suffering to others. Okay? And they have basic rights just like you. To be free, to exist, to not be exploited, to not be tortured, to not be enslaved, to not be oppressed. They have those same basic rights as you. Yeah, I said exploited there, oppressed. Yeah. Okay. If you think about that, going vegan is easy. People think, oh my God, it's so hard. No. When you think it's hard, it's because you're thinking about yourself. When you think it's easy, it's because you're thinking about the victim. I went vegan like this, and it was easy. Why was it easy? Because I was like, I don't want to get fucked with. Okay, so anyways, he starts talking about other things. But yeah, so that's basically like a typical outreach conversation. This was a couple years ago. Obviously, I've improved. I do other things. At the end of the video, I think he does go out and shake my hand. This was way before we started saying we shouldn't be shaking people's hands unless they commit to go vegan. And at the end of the video, I didn't say to him, okay, what do you choose? Or how urgent, if you were in the victim's position, how urgent would this be for you to go vegan? How urgent would you want somebody to go vegan? You know, and I don't know. I didn't ask him to make a choice, because sometimes they'll be like, I'll think about it. And that's when I say, well, if you were in the victim's position, would you want somebody to think about it, or would you want somebody to take immediate action? Right. We're not here to, this isn't food for thought, is what I tell you. This isn't food for thought. This is a call to action. You have a choice right now from this point forward to either do the right thing or not. You know it's the right thing to do because you can. So you either choose to do the right thing or you don't. You make the choice. But this is a call to action. This isn't food for thought. We're not here so that you can think about it. That's not why we're here. So I didn't do that here. This was a couple years ago. These are the things that I'm doing now. And they're very effective. When I tell people you got two choices, hypocrite or vegan, what do you choose? What do you?
Vegan.
Okay. Now, They might just be saying that because those are the only two choices I'm giving them. But it is the truth. Those are the only two choices that they have.
Especially with the
And
awareness.
even if they don't go vegan and they're just saying vegan because they can't say hypocrite, when they walk away, that's gonna stick with them.
And words have
Absolutely.
power also.
Absolutely. Anyways, they're signaling for us to wrap up. So thank you all for coming. I hope this was helpful. Thank you.